Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of this series where we share a brief history of the educational system in the Philippines, starting from pre-Hispanic period and throughout the age of colonialism until the present. But for this episode, join me, Ian Abelardo, as we retrace education during pre-Hispanic Philippines. Have you ever wondered what was the Philippines like before the colonizers took over the islands? Well, I was always interested to learn about the old customs of Filipinos during the country's pre-colonial years. Unfortunately, there obviously weren't photographs or videotapes to directly show us the situation of the Philippines back then. However, there are relics that are still able to give us a glimpse of their customs and lifestyle. And among these relics were written works such as journals, all of which challenged the imagination of modern Filipinos. Before the arrival of Spain, education in the Philippines was rather informal or decentralized. Children were provided more of vocational training and less academics. Some examples of their training included farming, fishing, hunting, and cooking. Several other practices such as songs, poetries, and rituals were passed down to generations, usually through oral traditions. Because education was decentralized, they were supervised by their parents, tribal tutors such as the babaylans, or any one of those assigned for specific specialized roles within their communities. Nevertheless, as I mentioned a while ago, education during pre-Hispanic Philippines wasn't solely centered on vocational training, as literacy had also been long introduced to the country before the coming of the Spaniards. According to a journal by Toshiaki Kahawara titled A Study of Literacy in Pre-Hispanic Philippines, there are two theories surrounding the literacy rate of Filipinos before the arrival of Spain. One asserts that the Filipinos had a high literacy rate as well as high civilization, while the second theory claims that a high literacy rate wasn't likely and was only limited to a small number of the population. Two writing systems were brought to the Philippines at different times. The first one came from Java Island in Indonesia before 900 AD but disappeared sometime after the 10th century. The second writing system was brought from Sulawesi or Sumatra Island, and it was called Baybayin, which was the most widely spread alphabetic system in the Philippines until the Spanish arrived. In the present, young Filipinos are reviving Baybayin as a way of celebrating the country's indigenous history and to grapple with its colonial past. Even Jose Rizal, who was the most influential thinker of the Philippine Revolution, was convinced that a civilization with a high level of culture had existed in the early years of the Philippines before the arrival of Spain. He stated, and I quote, "After the colonization by the Spanish started, Filipinos started to forget old traditions and old memories, and eventually they lost writing systems, songs, poems, and laws." Just what did Spain do that greatly changed the history and educational system of the Philippines? We'll find out in the next episode.